Evening all. Apologies for the late start, guys. I'm seeing quite a few comments here saying, oh, it's Paul hosting, he'll be late. The reason why we're late is because we couldn't actually find a host. My camera wasn't working. Billy was running late. Jack was supposed to then host the show because I didn't think I could get on. Jack then can't get on because his camera's busted up. Alex is freaking out. And, you know, we got there in the end. Us three managed to get on. So, you know, it's been a bit of a dodgy start, but we're there. We're on now. That's the main thing. You know, I mean, God, if we actually had to be at a meeting at a certain time, well, Alex would be there, but of course, I don't think me and Billy would still be halfway to the meeting. But anyway, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Toon Review. It seems like a goddamn age since we did a live show. But here we are. We still haven't got any signings at Newcastle United, unfortunately. Stories going here, there, and everywhere of players want to sign, players not wanting to sign, players wanting to go to Tottenham, players not wanting to go to Tottenham. Are you disappointed no signings yet, Alex?
No, not really. The transfer window only opened a few days ago. I think we've, you know, put a few feelers out. Sorry, people messaging me. So we've put a few feelers out regarding transfers, I would imagine. And I think there's been a lot of stories that have dropped today, essentially saying predominantly about Maddison, but I would imagine this probably is a stance we're going to take indefinitely because we're not going to have a Botman saga again. It might happen occasionally, but I feel like we're going to try and take a stance and just say, look, make a decision this week or we're going to move on to other targets. I don't know whether this is in reference to specifically Maddison or both. The journalists are saying it's about Maddison, but this very well could be about several players, several clubs, several agents. We might just be saying, look, we do want these players and we want to negotiate with you, but we want to get people through the door on time so they can have a full preseason and we can have a good season next year. This is the window to negotiate. If you want the money from us, do it now or jog on. And I think that's completely fair. I think we need to be firm with our business. I think it will help keep the price down as well. If we've not caved and paid over the odds for anybody really yet.
Yeah.
And if we're taking an additional firm stance, this is great. This might help keep the price down, to be fair. And as we've said, there's plenty of really good midfielders around at the moment. There's plenty. Liverpool and Chelsea can't buy all of them. I mean, they're trying. They can't buy all of them. There's definitely going to be some left. So we'll get an appropriate player, I'm sure, whether it's this week from our primary targets or whether that doesn't work and we'll get one in 2 or 3 weeks. Who knows? But I'm confident we'll make the right decision anyway. Yeah,
I mean, Billy, do you think now that the sort of, especially the England side, you know, the internationals are over with, they're finishing off now. I believe is it the last games tonight or Wednesday? I don't know. They're finishing off now. So is it a case of, you know, players who will be wanting to move will probably want to get this sorted out before they leave for holidays and stuff like that? They'd rather get it sorted and know where they're going, i.e. Maddison and other players like that?
You'd think so. You'd think that'd be the way they'd want to be, you know, having their future sorted before they go away. The internationals have stopped this, the progression of signings. I think that's definite.
Yeah.
But I think we'll be okay. So I think things will start to pick up over the next week or two, to be perfectly honest. We need an early start. It's always better to be getting your stuff done early, without a doubt.
Yeah. I like coffee. Happy birthday to you, matey. I hope you're having a good day. The thing is, like, when all this Cucurella thing kicked off last week, we were extremely excited that we might have, you know, something might be happening. That was quite sort of quashed a little bit the following day by Fabrizio Romano, pouring cold water on it and saying that, he hasn't actually spoken to anybody. But then again, Alex, we see that, is it Federico Chiesa? Is it Chiesa?
Chiesa as well.
Yeah, he was linked yesterday, and apparently he has fallen out with Allegri, and Newcastle United apparently have a good relationship with his entourage, whatever the hell that means.
With Chiesa's entourage?
Yeah.
I mean, entourage.
So what does it mean by entourage? Does that mean his agent, or
I'll have a real quick look at who his agents are.
It's strange.
Lian Sports Group. Let's have a look at their clientele. Leroy Sané, Ivan Fresneda. Oh, we might have been in contact with. In fact, I'm pretty sure. Didn't Nixon sit with Fresneda's agents on a scouting trip? I'm pretty sure he did. We might know those agents. Right, There might be some truth in that, because I'm pretty sure they got. And this isn't in the know stuff. I think there were pictures that got into the papers.
God forbid, Alex. God forbid.
Literally, but there were pictures of literally some employees of our club sat with his agents at a game. So that I'm pretty sure we know them. I don't really recognise. Well, there's nobody on this list that I don't think we've really done much with. You've got Jovetic, you've got Marcus Alonso, Rebic, Pjanic. Lots of Croatians and Serbians on there. I don't know. I think we know the agents though. So
interesting.
Maybe has legs.
Yeah. ADB says most of the good players are on international duties and the European market opens the 1st of July. So I can see that as the real start of the window, in my opinion. Ian says Maddison is going on holidays after the internationals. He's just had twins. It will be weeks yet. Well, yeah, but that's what I mean, Ian. You could flip that around and say, would he want things sorted before he goes on holiday? Because he doesn't want that hanging over his head, getting a phone call halfway through his holiday saying, oh, by the way, such and such is now in for you. He doesn't want all that hassle on holiday. If he wants to go away and enjoy himself and chill out for a bit, if that was me, that's what I'd do. I'd want it sorted before I went away, Billy.
100%. Yeah, it's just peace of mind, isn't it? Especially when these footballers are set for life anyway. It's not so important for them, but knowing what your next year's task is going to be, if you're going to be playing Champions League or not in Maddison's case, or no European football at all. Seems strange to me that you want to go to Spurs, if I'm perfectly honest. I mean, their future's hardly bright. They may not have their talisman next season. They're not going to know any European football. They still haven't got a manager. Seems tough to me to be wanting to go there ahead of us.
Yeah.
They have got a manager, haven't they? Haven't they got Ange?
Postecoglou's
there. Postecoglu, of course he's gone there, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Of course he has.
But he's a bit of but I get what you're saying, though, Bill. He's a bit of an unknown, obviously, in the Premier League. He's done very well at Celtic, but let's face it, I think we could manage Celtic and still win the Premier League sometimes. You know what I mean? I think it's a big challenge for him, because it's not just, he's not walking into a club that's full of confidence and morale. It's a club that's really fell away, and there's a lot of shit going on behind the scenes, and that he's going to walk into a bit of a shit show and try and sort out, trying to attract players to that club who don't have any European football next season is going to be extremely difficult. Now, there is a couple of things, as well as obviously the transfer show that we do, and we also wanted to obviously talk about any latest news that's gone on. And I do want to get your opinions on this, guys, because there's a couple of things I want to talk about with you, because obviously we haven't been on live for a few days. So the first one, and Jason's asking a question there. What's your opinion on the Saudis helping Chelsea to offload players? He doesn't like it. What's your thoughts, Alex? Because I find it very strange, and I can't actually believe Ruben Neves went there. Yes, you could expect players coming towards the end of their career to go over there. He's clearly gone for money. There isn't any other factor. He can't have gone there just for the challenge. Are you finding the whole thing a bit weird?
Not really. I think it's inevitable. I think it happened with the Chinese market. The only reason it happened is because I've got to be careful here, because I would like to visit China. I don't want to get myself on the banned list. I think it complicated things with COVID and certain things and business-related restrictions. Am I allowed to say that? I'll say that. and that didn't quite work out with sort of China growing, or that, you know, they got Oscar through the door from Chelsea when he was in his peak, and a few others, and that didn't quite work out where we thought it might be heading. However, Saudi Arabia, you know, we've been told this since the takeover, that the Saudis don't play to be second best. If they're going to go for this, they're going to go for absolutely everything. They want to clean up shop, house, whatever the analogy is. They want to clean everything. They want to take all the trophies and be number one. I think this is just representation of that. Is it a little bit weird with like Neves being in his prime going there? Yeah, I guess it is. But I think this is kind of, in a way, we're getting up on our moral high horses here, but this is a result of UEFA, FIFA, and all of our individual football associations just running our leagues really poorly. FFP's not been implemented correctly. We've not been careful with how we've been. Lots of people have been bending the rules at the top and getting in trouble. Juventus, Barcelona, Man City. Although Man City is still in investigation, it's not proven yet. And this is why this has happened. Saudi are just like, okay, we'll just come in and just do it this way and take all your best players. And it's starting to happen. I mean, Messi could have gone there. He obviously went a different direction because he's got enough money. But and in regards to, I think it's definitely important to address everybody's concerns about this whole Clear Lake thing, and the PIF's involvement theoretically in Chelsea on a small percentage. It's not connected. It's such a minor part of it. It's not this huge plan. You know, people coming in and saying, why are PIF strengthening Chelsea by letting them off? That's not how that works. Yes, they are funding the 4 clubs in Saudi, but they don't have enough of a controlling stake to be pulling any weight in decision making at Chelsea or anything like that.
The thing is, one thing I want to ask you, Alex, is if Saudi are paying for some of these Chelsea players, does that not enhance Chelsea's FFP when they go to spend because of what they're getting in for players? Does that work with FFP? You know, if they're getting a certain amount of £1 million for, I know some of them are free, but some of them aren't. So if they're buying players and giving Chelsea the money, does that not expand Chelsea's FFP, whereas they can spend a bit more on buying players?
Well, yeah, it does, but it's not connected to the PIF. Well, it's not connected to the people making decisions at our club.
Yeah,
I think right. Yeah. So, Edit Kev on Twitter. If you haven't seen him, I do recommend him a lot. Edit Kev is a marketing manager at StatsBomb. Go and have a look at Edit Kev's Twitter if you've got Twitter. He's posted about this. It was either today or yesterday. I've just been trying to find it. I can't quite find it. And he's done a whole thread on this whole thing as well. There'll be varying structures to the PIF in regards to who's employed where, who's in charge of what, who pulls the decisions. This is not connected. This is to do with Saudi's 2030 project to promote health and fitness within Saudi Arabia, and to try and expand their league. The people making the decisions at that point are not connected to the people making decisions within NUFC. It's not related, in my opinion. It's frustrating because there is a connection there in terms of who they're working for, in terms of the PIF, but they're not doing it to try and strengthen Chelsea. It's primarily there's different people making different decisions to try and promote this whole 2030 Saudi vision that they're going for. They're not. Does it kind of accidentally strengthen Chelsea? I mean, yeah, but I don't think it's connected. We shouldn't be angry. It's
I
not
guess
it's
for our owners, isn't it, to compete with Chelsea? So that I guess they know what to do, and I guess discussions would have taken place behind the scenes, of course. Billy, what's your thoughts on it all?
I think it's just the way the world of football is these days. I think the way that UEFA has run European football, it's natural to want to for people that own European clubs to expand into places where they're not penalised by ridiculous penalties and what they can spend and what they can't spend. I think that's got an awful lot to do with it. The Saudi league wants to be a massive league, and to entice these kinds of players. Generally, the ones that have been going are the ones that are slightly over the top. Neves is a different kettle of fish, and if they can get someone of that ilk in, and they can hope people will follow, it's going to make UEFA sit up, hopefully. and maybe get their house in order, and that will help us in the long run also.
Because, of course, Saudi aren't governed by FFP, are they? So it doesn't affect them. So they can spend what the hell they want. So would that, as you say, Billy, would that kick FIFA's arse into gear and start sorting out our leagues and UEFA as well? Because at the end of the day, you know, we are losing good players, or we are going to start losing good players to the Saudi league because of the amount of money they've got to spend. And obviously they are wanting to promote things. They want to grow their league, and rightly so, if that's what they want to do.
But the Saudi league will still be in the FIFA rules. We'll still be in the FIFA rules. You know, the Saudi league will have to operate under FIFA rules. But it's the way UEFA have kind of ran the game in Europe. It's been pretty shoddy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But this gets really dangerous now, because if all the FFP restrictions get changed, they're never going to be fully sort of relinquished. But in a theoretical world where there's no FFP, the sorts of money that's in the game now compared to what it was 20 years ago, it could start to get really stupid. Like somebody puts a 200 mil bid, you know, at an auction where somebody just keeps going up and up and up. The sort of money that's in this, they're just going to go 200, 300. 400 million, 500 million. Where does it end? Somebody's going to start triggering these bonkers La Liga release clauses. Oh, somebody's got $1 billion. Vinicius Junior's got €1 billion release clause. All right, we'll just trigger it because there's no FFP anymore. It could get really dangerous and silly. And it's
dangerous for clubs as well, going bust and things like that. Yeah, because if they're spending billions. Right, Dan's moving on. Dan says, Stato, what do you think of the new shirt? Obviously, I was going to come on to the shirt itself. Obviously, Alex is wearing his tonight. I've had mine on over the weekend. Mine came at the weekend, so I quite like it. It's a good fit. Last season's replica jersey was a little tight around the arms and shoulders. This one isn't.
I was just going to ask you that, because mine feels a tad roomier than the last year's.
Definitely. I think it'll be interesting to see if they bring a Pro one out this year, because the Pro one, like I said, was much better fitting, but it was much more expensive.
I'd like to think that they've taken feedback on.
Absolutely.
Which is good. I know they're not perfect, but at least they're listening somewhat.
I did watch Adam Pearson's video today, and he was at the club shop talking about the stock levels, and it looks like Castor have bollocksed up on the stock again. I don't
think they have. I just don't think they've got the capabilities of dealing with such demand. I think that's the problem with it. They're too small an operation to deal with the demand that they needed for Newcastle United.
I mean, Adam mentioned that they're a big UK firm, but I don't think they're that big. I don't think they're big enough to come to the demand for Newcastle shirts. I mean, let's not forget they do make shirts for other teams, in the UK, Scotland and England. But surely they should have learned from last year the demand for the shirts, Billy. Surely.
As I say, I don't think they're able to deal with it. They're just too small an operation, and I think this is down to. I think this is. I'm still not convinced that Mike Ashley isn't involved with them somehow. I'm still thinking this is his part and gift to Newcastle United that he was going to be involved
really?
2 or 3 seasons. Yeah, I really do.
Interesting. Alex, what's your thoughts on that?
I'd say there's probably some truth in that. I think he had an agreement with him with Castor because it suited him for whatever reason. They've dug their heels in because they know this is lucrative for them, staying with us in this sort of rise. Any impressive, any photographs of our journey this is gonna be forever etched in history. Like there's gonna be Castore shirts for Bruno and for, they're going to be a part of our history now, and they know that this is, if they get offered a buyout fee, I'm sure the PIF have tried to offer them a buyout fee, and they've obviously just gone, nah, sorry, this is good for our brand. If we've got this little Castore badge for the next for however many years on sort of your Champions League evenings, like it's great for Castor for their marketing and advertising. So I can see why they've done it from a business perspective. Yeah, it's just kind of frustrating because although we've just praised them for improving it somewhat with the sizing, it's not really good enough, is it? It's not. I don't hear. I've got there's tons of Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool fans all around here in the Midlands near me. not once have I ever heard anybody go, "Oh, my shirt's this, or my shirt's that, or the collar's funny, or this hasn't arrived." I've never heard any of this complaining from anybody who supports any of those teams around here. But yeah, we all get this issue with this shirt. And I'm quite involved with a lot of friends and people in the area in football who support other clubs. I don't hear these issues. It just seems to be us. So,
I mean, the stitching on the badge, I took no attention of in previous shirts. I didn't even realize it looks the same on previous shirts. I hadn't even realized.
Yeah, I think people got a bit unnecessarily stroppy about that.
Yeah, I don't listen. As far as I'm concerned, it like I said in the video that I did, it didn't bother me. To be honest, I really love the shirt.
I mean, I was furious originally, and then I looked at another shirt and I was like, "Oh, it's the same as the other shirts."
Yeah. Now, also, season tickets have obviously been released for renewal. I've renewed mine today. I've selected the cup games as well. I'm a little bit pissed off, to be honest, that as a season ticket holder, I can't then go and purchase a ticket for an extra ticket for the games, because sometimes I've done that and give them away on the channel. I've bought them and give them to you, Alex, so you can come up and watch. And it's really disappointing that for me. I can understand on the other side why they've done it, because obviously it's more opportunity for members and everyone else to get tickets.
Is this for all games?
It's I believe it's for the Premier League games. I haven't read up about the cup games yet. I'm not sure on that.
Oh, that's a shame.
But then when I've gone to renew today, when it brings up a sort of menu for the Carabao, the FA Cup, and the Champions League, if you want to opt into those games, and then when you do, it doesn't give you the option to pay those by direct debit. They come out as a separate card payment. So basically what's happening is I think it's the 5th of July, a payment comes out. I think that's for the Champions League games or the cup games. I'm not sure which way around it is. And then further down the line, they'll take a payment for the cup games. It's very confusing. And of course, it's all going digital as well. So now, speaking as a fan who, for cup games, in the past, I've took my family there, and especially Phoebe, who loves the chance to go when she can. And obviously, like last season, Alex, I was able to bring you and Anya up, and you could go to the games. And it's different. It's going to be different this season. And I'm not sure they've got it exactly right. But then on the flip side of it, I don't think there was, like anything that they do, there's always going to be that side of it who think we're doing the wrong thing, or the side who thinks we're going to doing the right thing. Do you think they've planned it well this year, Bill?
I'm a bit unhappy about it, if I'm perfectly honest. I think people have, and this is not a go at people that boycott, because I did it myself, but people that have remained loyal to the cause of watching the team week in, week out, and have put the investment into the ticket each season, I think they should be entitled to have membership on as part of the season ticket. That's the issue. Is that they've took the membership part away, haven't they? So now you've got
the problem I've got, Billy, is if I want to get a ticket for Phoebe, I can't. She's a member, but because she's only 14, she can't order a ticket on her own. So she can't get one.
Can you not do it for her? Can you not link her membership to your season ticket?
She's linked, but if I can't get an extra ticket, you see what I mean? I would have to buy the ticket because she's only 14. But according to the new rules, I can't buy an extra ticket. So, and she's too young to buy it. So I just don't know how it works. It's confusing. It's very bizarre.
Really, they need to come out and be more transparent and go through all this, really. This is what the trust should be doing, actually. This is one of the trust's main objectives. You'd think it would be to make it clear to fans what's actually the ticketing issues are, if people have got queries about it.
Pete. Yeah, because I had to put a post on Twitter to find out why it wasn't giving me the option to pay by direct debit. I thought, Christ, is this taking the full amount off me here? When you were going through the cup games, it was
the cup
so
games.
Confusing.
Yeah, the cup games should have been. But to me, just add them onto the season ticket. If you want 55 quid a game from, add it onto the season ticket direct debit and just increase the direct debit. Makes perfect sense to me that way. To actually pay for the ticket separately and before the season starts. In this day and age, not many people can afford to be paying 3 lots of Champions League tickets, 3 lots of Carabao Cup tickets, which you might not use anyway, and 3 lots of FA Cup tickets, which you might not use anyway.
Yeah, I think my season ticket came to £692. That's not including obviously the cup games. Now I'm supposed to get a discount because of my disability, but I've been speaking. Michael's been over today, and that's exactly how much his ticket is as well. So I've got to now get back to the box office and say, well, hang on a minute, am I actually registered at the club as disabled? Because have I been paying more than I should have been over the last couple of seasons? It's very, very confusing. And a lot of people are saying that they're trying to get a hold of the box office. I'm seeing people being on there for 3 hours at a time. It's mad. But anyway, we'll move on. Keith, thank you for your $10 super chat. By the way, guys, super chats are open. If you want to donate to the channel, you get your comment read out straight away as well if you'd like to donate. Keith says, I'm finally headed over the pond to see my first match, the Boxing Day match against Forest. Is there a trustworthy site where I can get tickets for the family?
Keith, Boxing Day is one of the highest watch fixtures in the year. I would say you've got little to no chance of getting tickets for that game.
Absolutely. And I wouldn't recommend any of the sell-on sites because you'll be paying absolute thousands for tickets.
Can I just mention something about season ticket holders as well? I might rattle a few cages here. To be honest, I don't care. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter and on social media who have been long-standing season ticket holders, and you know, respect for that. Well done for sticking by the club. However, there's a lot of people essentially coming out and just saying, "Oh, you can't get a season ticket, whatever. You should have stuck. You should have stuck with us, or you shouldn't have given it up."
Yeah, I don't agree with that either.
What about What about people? What about a young lad who's maybe 18, 19 or something, who's supported the club since they were sort of 3 or 4 years old? Applies 2, 3, 4, 5 years on the trot. They get to sort of 22, 23 years old, and they don't get anything about it. And what are we supposed to do at that point? There'll be a cluster of several thousand people who have had season tickets for 30 or 40 years. And, they've got just as much right. Fair enough. They can keep renewing their season ticket. However, we're going to get to a point where you're going to get people who are 30, 40 years old who've never been able to get a season ticket. It's just going to start to be top heavy where people are just going to hoard them. And you're just going to get people who are sort of in that older age bracket. And you're not going to get anybody sort of able to go to matches. And it's difficult because, like I said, it's nobody's fault. You've well within your rights to renew your season ticket. I don't know. I don't think it's the best way to do it.
Yeah, it's a bit nasty.
Especially when people get a bit venomous on Twitter saying, like for me, for example, I mean, I've never lived in the Northeast. So, I mean, my right to a season ticket, I guess, is lesser because I don't live in the region. I think that's probably fair enough. I can't really argue with that. I think you guys who are, probably right. I don't deserve one as much as somebody who lives in the region. Fine. Okay, fair enough. However, it's not, people are being quite nasty to younger people in the fan base. They've got a right to try and get a season ticket, and they've got a right to possibly be a bit disgruntled by it. We arguably should have increased the stadium capacity 30 odd years ago. It never happened. There were plans to increase it to what was it, 75 or something under Freddie Shepherd long ago. I just feel a bit sorry for certain people who probably aren't going to be able to get a season ticket for the next 5 or 10 years. And it's not because they disappeared under Ashley.
Well, to be honest, Alex, I gave mine up. Billy, you'll remember me talking about this. I gave mine up. I was fed up. I'd had enough of paying a fortune. And like a lot of fans, I'd had enough of paying a fortune for my money to go into that club and go straight into Ashley's pocket. I'd had enough. The team was dreadful. That there was no ambition at the football club. And me, as in thousands of others, decided enough was enough. Yeah. Now, the season that we got taken over, I don't know what it was, but during that summer, I just had I just had a feeling that something was going to happen. So I got my ticket back, and I was one of the lucky ones who did that. But so I got very lucky because I didn't know that the takeover was happening. I just had a good feeling about something. So I thought,
because you didn't have a season ticket, it didn't mean you gave up. I
didn't give up support.
One of the first articles I sent to you was an article on Paul Dummett. I mean,
yeah. I mean, but it didn't mean I stopped caring about Newcastle United. It was just I wasn't going to put any more money in Ashley's pocket. And a lot of fans felt the same. Now, a lot of fans didn't renew. And that, unfortunately for them, it is now difficult to get a ticket back. But I don't agree with other fans saying, oh, tough, you shouldn't have left in the first place.
What about
because they were doing what they believed in?
That got one for free, when he was given a bunch out. What about some of them? Does that mean they're more righteous than anyone else? Well,
it's really unfair to say that.
I mean, you jumped back in when demand was low, so you were lucky, really. Another 4 months, you probably wouldn't have got one.
Absolutely, Billy. Absolutely. If I'd have waited, when did we get taken over? October. So it wasn't long into the season, was it? So, it was very, very lucky. And I count myself lucky that I managed to do that. Because, if I hadn't, then I would have just had to bite the bullet and say, well, look, I did what I thought was right at the time. I stand by my decision to do that. And yes, I'm pissed off I can't get a ticket, but I don't think it's right for those that kept on going to the matches and kept their season tickets to turn around and say that these people who gave up were in the wrong, because they weren't. They stood by what they believed in at that time. And it's very unfair for people to come and say, oh, you shouldn't have done it, because everybody was suggesting that we did it. Everybody was suggesting walkouts, giving up your tickets, stop putting money into Ashley's pocket. There was a lot of stuff going around at that time. It was just madness. There's a couple of super chats come in. Roadblock, thank you for your £5. He says a lot of Stockholm still going on, Ari. The first 3 hard games, when that 3 are actually all thinking, oh, shite, not the Toon. Come on, people, we got this. Gary Binns, thank you for your £2 super chat. Great show once again, up the mags. And Simon, thank you very much for your comment, matey. I will look into that, actually, because that's a very, very good point. So I will look into that. I'll contact the box office and have a little word with them. Right. There was a comment I'd seen earlier on, Alex, just saying what you thought of this Rafinha swap deal with Bruno plus 30 million that apparently has been kicked about on social media. I think it's all a load of bollocks myself. But what do you reckon?
Well, obviously, it's Gerard Romero on Twitch. I don't want to burn any bridges for the channel, but I think he's a moron. I don't like him.
Who?
And I'm sorry, Gerard Romero. I know he's well liked within. He does a lot of Twitch streams. He's got a lot of connections in Spain. He's very big on Barcelona. But I've listened, for those of you who are newer viewers to the channel, I grew up in Spain for a few years, and I used to listen to some of his streams in Spanish, and just for a bit of fun, just listen to some football streams in Spanish. Mm-hmm. And occasionally he would talk about English football, and he's a moron. He would talk about Watford being a one-club city, and like, what the hell? He was just chatting absolute nonsense, and he was talking about Leeds and about us, and he was just getting names wrong, positions wrong. He hadn't watched the games. He didn't know what he was talking about. And it was just utter tripe constantly. And I think he retracted this statement quite quickly soon after. It's poor journalism for somebody that probably earns a disgusting amount of money on salary and on social media. Do some work. I know people mock Fabrizio Romano for getting the João Pedro thing wrong. But look, we know Romano's got friends within Watford. He'd obviously been told by his sources he was okay to go ahead with that. He got it wrong. It's it's probably the only notable one he's gotten wrong. Most of the time he's bang on. People need to aspire to be a bit more like him. Listen to your sources. If you're not sure, say I'm not sure. I've noticed that Ben started doing this a lot more. I think he's improved a lot of his Twitter where he'll post all of the sources, the journalists, if he's not sure if there's this, and it's a lot more, he's getting a lot less hate for it. And it's not him saying it. Yeah.
I think that's a good way of doing it, to be honest, because all you're doing is passing information on.
It's less in the know-y and more, But Romero, there's nothing in it. 30 million plus Bruno for Rafinha, who I value at less than Bruno, as I'm sure we all do. It's utter nonsense. Yeah. It's just boring at this point. People are getting paid a lot of money to chat shit. I think Dean Jones as well? Yeah. Give Me Sport, all of them chatting absolute nonsense. What was this about? We should take McTominay and Maguire. It's just trite. They're getting paid so much money for nonsense.
Yeah,
I've just burnt about 3 bridges, and I'm beyond caring at this point. I'm just going to wave at the bridges as they collapse
well, to
into
be
the
Alex,
ocean.
Alex, to be honest, we're not going to get people like that on the channel. There is certain people like that who, we may have got on a year or so back, but now when we find out what kind of people they are, we just don't get them on the channel. It's as simple as that. Billy, you've had you and Roy have been very active, shall we say? But
I was sticking up for my mate up here.
Exactly, I know you were.
Exactly,
but you were pointing at me there, Billy. I
was, yeah.
Yeah.
What was this with Oliver Holt being an absolute moron?
No, there was quite a few others, but they know who we mean. And if they're watching, good evening. Saltiness. Anyway, Sophia says, my dad lost his seat when they made those posh ones in the Milburn stand. They put him in level 6, and after a few years of Ashley, he said it wasn't worth climbing the steps for and gave up. Tangy says that many of the people who gave up their season tickets also believed that they could put pressure on Mike Ashley to eventually sell up. Also, it just took 14 years. Yeah, that's what they believed at the time. And I don't think they should be certainly spoken down to as if to say, oh, well, look at you, it's your fault you gave your ticket up, because there was a lot going on at the time. People were trying to do everything to get him out of the football club. Erling Haaland's here, guys. He says Newcastle are rubbish. Good evening.
What about Scotland, Erling? How shit are they then?
Ian McKenna, thank you for your £5 super chat. He says the prices will get higher, yet you can't expect to spend with no extra outlay. ADB says, and TTR guest next week, Romero.
Absolutely
not
a chance.
Madison and Barella ASAP. Let's also get Cancelo. Alex just offended those of us who truly are morons. Ian says, I gave up my season ticket when I moved to Singapore. The travel for each game was horrendous.
Oh, but it was.
Oh, yeah. Alistair, thank you for your £5 super chat. He says, we can wait for those players that fit our system, but not too long a wait. Indeed. Anyway, let's get cracking on the first player of the night, shall we, that we're going to have a look at. And it is... Oh, come on, Alex. I mean,
you can say the first one.
Well, Derry, yes, but if he's German, is it pronounced Jerry? Derry? Sherhand.
I haven't the foggiest. So
all right, okay. Well, we'll go with Sherhand. Billy, what's your...
It is Sherhand. There's no umlaut on the E. So
you call him Lionel. This is his middle name.
Lionel. My God, that's not very German, is it? Lionel? Anyway, take it away, Alex.
Right. To be honest with this one, guys, this popped up today or possibly late last night. Lots and lots and lots of wind behind this. So we're having a look at it. I've not watched Hertha Berlin this season. However, for those people who call me a know-it-all, I don't know it all because I've not watched Hertha this season. So I'm going to try my best to review him, but I don't know. But we have to review him because he got linked very recently, and it were quite strong links. So it's a funny one. He's a young forward, and there's not really any data on him. Made 10 appearances for Hertha in the Bundesliga, but only 285 minutes. So that's quite a low accumulation of minutes for 10 appearances. So quite a lot of substitute appearances there. He got 1 goal from 0.2 xG. He's young, but he's not like super, super young. He's not going to be one of these 17, 18-year-olds that go straight into the academy, I would imagine. But 10,000 a week. So wages are really low. Contract isn't too prohibitive, only 2 years left. He fits the profile of being quite, athletic and physically 6 foot. However, no data. So we've got a bit of sort of Hertha data for him here at under 19s Hertha Bundesliga. Blah, 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 blah. So there's really not a lot going on here. If we go on to SofaScore, it's not a lot of data on here. I mean, he does wear the shirt number 39, which is, of course, Bruno. But let's go down and have a look. So a few bench appearances. So this was him playing for the Hertha second team, which is potentially where a lot of the scouting's been done here, and that a lot of these clubs will have data potentially for these Hertha 2 games. I don't, general public, I don't have access to this. Maybe some people do. So yeah, it looks like he's done all right though in the Hertha second team games. He's got a goal from open play and a penalty here. He scored here, absolutely storming it in the second team. For the first team, he's made the bench a few times. So against Wolfsburg, they actually won this game. If we have a little look, so he came on, I'm pretty sure, at halftime as a substitute. If we can scroll down and have a look, where is he? There he is. So as a forward, he came on and played very left-sided, completed a couple of dribbles, very physical again. 5 out of 7 ground duels. Again, he's 6 foot. He seems like quite a powerful youngster. Drew 2 free kicks. So you can kind of see a little bit about what he would bring potentially. Not too much, but this is the game against Bayern. They lost 2-0. He did not start this. I think he came on the bench for the last few minutes. There he is. So didn't really get much of a look in. Tried a dribble, struggled a little bit. It is Bayern, it's to be expected against Werder Bremen. I think he started this game. He did. They played a 4-1-4-1, and he was out wide on the left. He got substituted. So not bad heat map here. Very, very, very left-sided, which is obviously where he's playing. Tried physically 2 out of 6 ground duels. Didn't win his area duel. A couple of unsuccessful dribbles. I mean, he
was yanked off at half time, wasn't he?
Why strawberries? Go away.
It's Wimbledon, Alex.
No, it must be. Couple of tackles. So there's not really enough data for me to kind of show you guys what he could be. I'm going to have to go away. If these links persist, I'm going to have to go away and watch him. Maybe watch a couple of 90 minutes of Hertha. I mean, maybe Foxy knows a bit more.
Well, he's just said Hertha Berlin have had a rotten season, which they have.
Yeah, I mean, apparently this is their bright spark youngster, but I don't really know much about him. All I can tell you is he looks. I don't even know if he looks promising. I've not seen him. But he's on moderate wages. He's 20 years old. He looks quite physical. He's getting minutes in the senior team as a 20-year-old. He looks like he's bossing it for the second team. I'd have to go and watch him a bit more to give people a better answer. But we've been linked. There is him sort of as a brief snapshot for you guys, so you can kind of have a look.
I mean, my only worry is I've seen a lot of Newcastle fans worry about this, and Bill, you'd be interested in get your thoughts on this. That maybe Newcastle, obviously, the other day they were looking at I think he was a 16-year-old kid from Wolves. They were looking at bringing him in. And a lot of Newcastle fans are saying, whoa, yes, we're bringing in all these youngsters. We're bringing a lot of youngsters in, but nobody's coming in the first team. Do you subscribe to that, or do you think they're doing the right thing because they've got staff in the right places? Obviously the academy staff are doing what they need to do, and the first team staff will be doing what they need to do. Well,
with the young kids that are coming in, you've got to grow a certain amount of it organically. You can't just. I mean, even Man City have done that. They've done it organically. They've created youth team setups, and now the youth coming through there is proving great from the Fodens of this world. So we're going to have to do that too. So I've got no argument with that whatsoever. This lad here, to me, it fits the Dan Ashworth modus operandi perfectly. How many players did he sign for Brighton who no one had ever heard of from deep, darkest places around the planet? This lad's in Europe, just happens to be close to us. And Dan Ashworth, obviously. Trust what
his transfer value is 700k. He's got 2 appearances for the German U20 national team. So, I mean,
but you know what it is. I mean, Billy's just made a really good point. You look at what Dan Ashworth did at Brighton. How many players he brought in who weren't necessarily known to us, right? And suddenly they've become real stars and real players. And Brighton have sold some of them on now for millions of pounds to what they brought them in for. And so, this one does, it does look a little bit of a sort of Dan Ashworth signing, which in a way excites me because of the players that he brought in for Brighton. Very exciting players, very attacking players, very good on the ball, very good skills.
The thing is this one, though, it seems like it's halfway between a first team player and an academy player.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it?
It's not your sort of 23-year-old Isak Joe Willock age, but it's not the 18-year-old profiles we've been bringing in Minter and Qualls. It's kind of in the middle of 20 years old. So what do you do with him? Does he just come in and go straight on loan? Is he somebody that we're expecting to maybe contribute next season 15, 20 appearances? I don't know. But again, a lot of it depends on he will have been scouted, presumably. If there's truth in the links and the rumours, then I would imagine he would have been scouted. They would have watched the reserve games, and they will have an idea of his technical attributes. Because don't forget, this is what, even beyond Dan, I mean, to be fair, Dan Ashworth's kind of does a lot of what Howe and Tyndall used to do. What Howe and Tyndall used to do at Bournemouth, when Moneyball-wise, is, right, we haven't got the budget. Let's find a player who's got this technical level or this size or this physicality. We're going to try and find somebody and try and develop them. We think they've got the athleticism or the skill set to maybe grow into this, and we're going to develop them. And this is kind of what Dan Ashworth does on a much more impressive scale, because he's obviously a true technical director and Eddie Howe's a coach. So, maybe they're doing this. Maybe if we go and watch a bunch of Hertha second team tapes, we're like, oh my God, this kid is a genius. Yeah. Who knows? There's just not enough data for us to really discuss it, unfortunately, on a show, but we'll see.
By the way, guys, Joe Linton and Bruno starting for Brazil. That is really, really good news. Listen, I think Joe Linton has really made a claim to the Brazilian coach, saying that, you know what, I'm here and I'm here to stay. Absolutely.
Fred's going to struggle to get back in that team.
Absolutely will. Yeah. I mean, come on. There's just no comparison between them two. Clarkey says he has 34 direct goal involvements in 46 games for the second team.
There you go. So he's on fire for the second team.
34 direct goal involvements in 46 games. That is pretty sensational, to be honest. Has anyone seen the Scotland pitch? It looks waterlogged. I haven't. But if anything's to go by, the rain today here was immense. So God knows what it was like in Scotland, but it was...
I just got Shrek vibes there. What are you all doing in my swamp? The Scotland waterlogged pitch.
Oh, dear. Well, that's Scotland now. Alex is upset tonight. So, he's getting by.
Not China, though. I saved that.
Relatively speaking, you did, yes. Simon says academy doesn't affect FFP or first team money as far as I'm aware. I don't think it does, to be honest. Stu, I'm going to have to read one of his jokes out, and did you hear about that Italian chef who died? He passed away. Met with perfect silence. Lee says, are some targets showing a lack of ambition, preferring London clubs over Champions League football? I mean, look, guys, we've had this debate a million times on this channel about this London bias, or London is a better place than the North, because they class everything north of Watford Gap as the north of England. Look, it's peeing me off a little bit, I have to say. Still the go on about London, and without realizing what a wonderful place the Northeast is to live. I mean, I know you guys don't live in the Northeast, but Billy, you've just been up this weekend. You've had a fabulous time. Alex, you've been up a few times now. Also, your partner's been up, loves it. People need to start realizing that it's a fabulous place to live. The only thing that is different is maybe it's a little bit warmer in the summer, but we don't play football in the summer. So I don't get the big rigmarole with this bloody London crap, to be honest. It does me head in. Barry says, good evening, lads. Why don't we just pay the money they want for Maddison?
Because you're creating a situation where in future clubs will be holding you to ransom.
Yeah. I mean, I think Newcastle are making it pretty obvious that they're not going to be taken up the backside by anybody. They're going to stand the ground. What did you think of Tottenham's? What did you think of Tottenham's? Sorry, Ash. What do you think of Tottenham's bid? 50 million for Maddison and Barnes.
Oh, I don't think that was real. I don't think that's true. No, not at all. I think that's.
Do you not think that's something that Levy would try?
No. I think that's smoke. That's a smoke screen. I think Leicester have created that, or somebody's created that, just to try and get some bidding going. I think they want to drive the price up as much as possible. They're trying to panic other clubs into thinking that there's a potential deadline or they need to hurry up. And we're not playing by that game. We're just saying, right, we want to negotiate this week. If you don't accept what we're going to offer, we're just going to walk away. I think that was all smokescreens. I know Daniel Levy's got a reputation, but he's not an idiot. Like, you don't become that rich by being an idiot. He's quite frugal with his money. Obviously, that's not going to be accepted. So,
yeah,
I don't think there's any truth in that.
Alistair, thank you for another £5 super chat. He says, what we need is a super Mac, a box-to-box, a two-legged bulldozer, as he would fit in alongside what we have up front. Can
I just mention as well, you were saying about not bidding what we want, what Leicester want for Maddison. Cucurella, for who we will review soon. Obviously, Chelsea had to pay like over 60 million for him for a fullback. That's because they've paid over the odds for players, and they get charged that, and they just have to pay it because people won't deal with them otherwise. So as soon as we cave, we're going to start getting quoted that sort of price for a fullback. Like, imagine if we need a new fullback to replace Dan Burn, and everybody starts quoting us 62, 63 million for a fullback. It's ridiculous.
I mean, there's a few fullbacks out there, Alex, I would happily pay that kind of money for. But I don't, as I say, we won't. Well,
who would you pay 60 million for?
I have a couple in mind, which I'm going to keep to myself just in case anything happens, because I don't want to class. I'm not in the know, Alex, so I'm not going to
pay 60 million for a single fullback on the planet.
Really?
I would pay half of that and develop them.
Well, yeah, development's important as well, I guess. Yeah. Tangy reckons we should go for Guila or Gulo, however you say it. We should be signing this wonder kid. Trigger that release clause.
I knew he's literally my favorite player of the window. Like,
yeah,
it's my favorite. It would be my favorite signing. I'm saving the space on the back of this shirt for him if he signs. Probably
he is sensational, to be honest. I mean, if we manage to get him, it would be a wonder signing. It really, really would. So yeah, right. Next player we have is, oh, for Christ Almighty's sake, you do this on purpose. I swear to God. You just look for the players that are linked with weird names. Right. Aurelien Tushimeni.
Aurelien Chouameni.
Chouameni. Yeah, silent T.
I don't think he's touching many, but...
Oh,
right.
Alex, that was terrible.
Are you okay?
I mean, you said it. You said it.
I says Tushimeni. Anyway, let's move straight on before we get into trouble.
Isn't that Jules Holland's show at New Year's?
Yes, let's move on.
So, right. I say this quite frequently. For the three people typing, Alex, don't be dumb, we're not going to get him. Yeah, I know. I know that. But he's been linked, and that's what we do in this show. Obviously, Real Madrid aren't going to give up their linchpin, who is going to take over from Kroos and Modric, who's going to sit at the base of midfield and be part of the midfield with Camavinga and Valverde and Bellingham. Obviously, he's not going to go. But we've been linked because papers are silly. So that's what we're doing. So let's pretend that there is somewhat like 1% chance in this. One of the best young defensive midfielders on the planet at 23 years old. His wage is double our highest earners at the moment. His contract is... I feel like we should just stop this now. It's just ridiculous. It's not going to happen. Oh, well, we will continue anyway. His contract runs out in 2028, so he's going to cost an arm, a leg, another arm, somebody else's arm, and everybody else's leg.
Do you know what? I'm going to be really honest here. I've never heard of him.
You've never heard of Chouameni?
I've never heard of Chouameni.
Who played against England in the World Cup for France when we got knocked out.
He obviously didn't get my attention, Alex. I don't remember him.
He is rather good.
I'll remember now looking at his wage packet. I mean, Jesus Christ on a bike.
He is very good. So 33 appearances for Real Madrid, 2,100 minutes, 4 assists from deep. He's got a bit of Joe Willock about him in the sense that he should have scored 2 goals and he scored absolutely nought. 400 minutes in the Champions League, 10 appearances. He's over 6 foot. He's physical. His passing's really good. His positioning, his positional awareness. For his age, he's a top talent, and that's one of the reasons why he's at Real Madrid and he's going to take over from some of the best midfielders on the planet. I mean, if that doesn't showcase how good he is, you've got Bentaleb's on there. You've got Rodri.
Can I just point out, right, Alex, how many times you go through these and Nabil Bentaleb is always there and quite high up.
But it's because of, so it's to do with where they spike statistically. So it just means that Bentaleb is playing like these players, like however many tackles they make per game, their pass percentage. It means he's profiling similar. It does depend on the league he's in, the position he's playing for his club. Maybe he's only being used in easier games. Like the data, you've got to look at the data in context. So yeah, I mean, Bentaleb's not a terrible player. He's in a much easier league at the moment, and maybe he's got some good midfielders around him. Who knows? I haven't really looked at Angers this season, or Angers, however we're saying their name. Angers. So yeah, look at who he plays. Like Partey, Rodri. You've got Ravella in there. You've got Caicedo, Højbjerg. You've got Declan Rice, Busquets, Brozovic. Yeah, and this kid's only 23. So, and if we go down and have a look at his statistics, so for sort of a DM, the passing statistics are, well, he doesn't miss.
Well, it's rather good.
He doesn't miss.
Yeah,
92.9% pass accuracy. I mean, whenever we do match reviews and we go through our player ratings, I will normally talk about the passing statistics of our midfielders. Maybe I might mention Botman and Cher. This is ridiculous. Like, this is a consistent output. This isn't just the odd game. Oh, he got 90% today. Well done. This is what he does every week. It's just stupid. He plays for Real Madrid. It's what you expect. They hoover up the best talent on the planet. His defensive output is insane. It's freakish. The interceptions again highlights how positionally aware he's a child at this point, and it's insane. His shot volume for a DM is in the top 14%. It's not going to happen. He would start, in my opinion, he'd probably start in front of Bruno. He would, Bruno would, you wouldn't bench Bruno. You'd just move Bruno to a different position. But hypothetically, position for position, this kid is good enough to be starting in front of Bruno. So if we have a look at his career, Bordeaux, Monaco, Real Madrid. So he got lots and lots of experience as a youngster, got 2 full seasons in Ligue 1 at Monaco before he went to Madrid. Have a look at his SOFA score, because why not? Positioning, ball interception and ball control. Again, for somebody so young to have those kinds of attributes is pretty freakish, and is the reason they've kind of got him, because they do need to replace their aging midfield, which they've done now. And here you go. He has just been playing in the games that they've just played. How did he do in these games? Just out of curiosity. So him and Camavinga. There you go. The Real Madrid midfield is also conveniently the France midfield. Funny that. And if you go to, that is pretty bonkers. Who were they playing against? Greece. I mean, fair enough, but that's still insane. The amount of ground he's covered there, over 100 touches, 94% pass accuracy, 2 key passes. I mean, he's aerial duels struggled a little bit. Interceptions 4, tackles 2, considering they probably had a lot of the ball as well. What's the match statistics? 62% possession, and he's still getting the four interceptions and 2 tackles. The kid's a freak. They lost to Man City, but Man City are the best team on the planet. Real Madrid, in my opinion, are probably the second best team on the planet. Yeah. I feel like
it's incredible to me how it's incredible to me how the French just keep rolling these players out. You know what I mean? Honestly, like over the last few years,
all the way through youth level.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got a freakish level of talent in the youth categories. I mean, this is when we were looking at Ekitike and when we were watching the Maurice Toulon tournament, whatever it was, it's got a few names. The France squad at U19s, U21s, U23s, national team, like every level was stupidly strong. It was probably the best in its category at that point last season, or whenever it was. Yeah, it was last season. It was just stupid. Like they're producing so much talent, it's insane. But I feel like we should probably stop talking about Tchouaméni because we're not going to get him. Like Real Madrid are going to lose Cruz and Modric, and they need this midfield that they've just assembled. Why would he go anywhere?
Well, Modric to me looks like he can go on another 4 years. I mean, he looks super fit.
He does look like he could probably play.
I mean, I watched the Nations League stuff over the weekend, and
there's no reason he couldn't make 20 or 30 appearances and just help.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you reckon, Billy?
That's a star, isn't he, Tchouaméni? And he also knows how to score past Jordan Pickford, of course, because he managed to do that for France in the World Cup.
Oh yeah, he got the goal, didn't he? Of course, yeah.
Because
Paul's remembering now.
Top player.
Yes, I do remember that. Look, I got hammered in the chat, by the way, for saying I'd never heard of him. But the France.
I think
thing,
you do know him. I think you've just not linked the name to.
Yeah,
you've probably seen him play a number of times.
Oh, I've seen him play. Yeah, I mean, his name didn't stand out to me straight away. But there you go. Of course, Real Madrid have just signed Bellingham as well. So if they lose Modric and Cruz, Camavinga,
it's going to be Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Bellingham, and Valverde.
Yeah,
sorted for a decade.
Yeah, I did see in the chat, Alex. Somebody was asking you, would you pay 60 million for Alphonso Davies? No. There's your answer, guys.
He is worth that. Of course, he is. But I would rather we developed a fullback or bought one for 30 or 40 and developed them.
Yeah,
I don't think you need to pay 60. I think that's overpriced. Look at Man City's fullbacks; they've never paid that much for a fullback. They paid like 50 odd, which I know is close. But once you go down that road, you're never coming back. Once you open your wallet and pay 60 for a fullback, that's it. Look at Chelsea; they paid 70 odd for a goalkeeper. They've never recovered from that, or they've had to pay over the odds for everybody since then.
We paid 10. I mean,
exactly.
For a goalkeeper who is much better than the one they paid 70 million pounds for.
Well, this is the reason we brought Dan Ashworth in. We brought in Dan Ashworth, so we don't have to pay 70 million pounds for a goalkeeper and 60 million pounds for a fullback. That's the whole point in us bringing in. Like people have been posting like screenshots of our scouting network now. We've built quite an impressive structure. We've done it so we don't have to pay over the odds for these kinds of players.
Yeah. Ashley 80 says, if we do get a new left back, what will Target do within the team? Would Burn be used more as a centre back backup and Target as the left back sub? Interesting to see. Well, these are the questions I suppose, Billy, will be answered in the next few weeks, hopefully.
Yeah, pre-season, I guess, will have a lot to do with it. How they perform in pre-season. I think Burn will go back to being a deputy as seventh centre back if he's on a left back. But also you've got the addition there. You can play him at left back if you need to.
Yeah. Scotland's game has been suspended, apparently, due to the pitch. Suspended? I mean, really? Are they going to get that pitch sorted if it's still raining?
Let's tell the crowd it's beer and they'll come on and drink it, wouldn't they?
Well, Billy, are you... I know you're feeling about the Scots, mate. I mean, it just seemed to be upsetting everyone tonight. I mean, here we go. Right, have we got one more player, Alex? Your mic's off, bud.
I was going to look at Cucurella. We can have a little look. I think it's worth also, when we pop him on, mentioning Josh Griffiths as well from West Brom, who's been linked a little bit today. So let's. Yeah, I don't know if he's actually got any data on here. He's got no picture. So we got linked with him today, the West Brom goalkeeper. Yeah. Apparently, Dan Ashworth knows him or knows of him development-wise from when he was at West Brom, although that must have been a long time ago. I'm not sure when that would have been. So it's worth having a look that we're looking at another keeper, possibly because we're doing things with Karius, maybe moving on Carl Darlow, possibly Dubravka, who knows. So, yeah, I think we signed a pretty promising keeper to the academy last season as well. And then if we may be looking at this guy, we could do with some sort of younger backups. So it's worth noting that we have been linked with another goalkeeper. So keep an eye on that. I haven't researched him yet, so we'll view him another day if the links persist and when I've had some time to actually have a look. So let's go back to Mr. Cucurella. There he is.
Now, these Cucurella links, they were quite strong today. And over the past couple of days.
That picture is hilarious. I'm sorry.
I mean, his haircut is a disgrace to humanity, I have to say.
It looks like what you put on a joke ID, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It looks awful.
It is. Yeah.
Excuse me, officer, this is my real ID. It's terrible. Yeah, so his name's been mentioned a few times in the last sort of month. And then it's come up as a proper rumor in the last few days. I think he'd be really good. I think he's a great player. I think he's been completely mismanaged at Chelsea. I think me and Billy briefly mentioned him, or maybe it was me and Jack. It might have been me and Billy. We mentioned him last week briefly. I think he'd be incredible. I know a lot of people don't like him. I would massively take everybody's performances at Chelsea last season with a pinch of salt. I think most of them are decent players, been completely mismanaged, tactically deprived. They had to look at Frank Lampard's face for about 4 weeks. I mean, you've got to give him a break. I think most of them are decent players. I think this is one of them. He was brilliant at Brighton. He was scouted by Dan Ashworth for a reason. He was a stamina monster. He could just run up and down the pitch all day long when he was in Spain. I think was it Getafe he was at? Yeah, it was. So he went from the Barca youth setup, went to Eibar and Getafe. He was 37 appearances, 35 appearances for Brighton. He was ever present and was an absolute monster until he went to Chelsea. He's a good age profile. He's 1-2 years younger than sort of a prime age, 26, 27. So he's still got maybe a year or two left of development in that sort of capacity. He's still going to be able to put his physical output still going to be nice and high. He's left-footed as well, which is always nice for a left-sided player. The wages are a little bit prohibitive. It depends on what we're going to do with Bruno's contract. I think he could play. He's played centre half in a back three, sort of an outside centre half. Plays as a wing back, plays as a left back. Not played as much in a back four, but I think he could do it. I don't see why he wouldn't be able to. I think with our coaching setup and our system, especially if we get somebody like this in early, and Chelsea, might want to depend. It depends what the manager thinks when he comes in. He might not want him. He might want to go in a different direction. Who knows? So statistics wise, pretty poor from what he used to be. He used to profile considerably better than this, but you can still see there's real positive signs in the underlying numbers. His ball progression with passing is nice and high. His pass accuracy and the amount of passes he's attempting is really high as well. Used to being in a dominant team, or wants to be dominant anyway. His defensive output is enormous, absolutely enormous, in the top 3% of tackles. I think he profiles amazing. He profiles like Semedo from Wolves. You've got Darmian on there, Nathpilicueta as well. So profiles like some tidy players. I haven't actually looked at what he looks like as centre back. I mean, that's not bad. It will have been in a back three. Please bear that in mind. Profiles like Bastoni, you've got Sandro on there, Longley, Tapsoba, so Hincapie as well, who a lot of people have been linked with and raving about from your favourite team, Paul Leverkusen.
Yeah, good player. Very good player.
So when you swap him to centre half, he looks outrageous. But he'd be signed as a fullback, not as a centre half. So I think it's better off looking at that, to be fair. I'd take him in a heartbeat. I just don't think. I mean, there's not really much point in looking at his Sofa score. Most people know him. Most people who watch the Premier League will know him quite well. Again, I don't think many of these games at Chelsea really display what he can do. What has gone on with Aston Villa's badge here? That is disgusting. What have they done? Oh my God, is that real? Have they changed their badge? Ew.
Not that I know of.
That's terrible. That's shocking if that's real. Let's go down and have a look. So Cucurella play the left side of a back four next to Koulibaly and Fofana. I mean, you can see what he's about here. Hug the touchline, be a monster, work hard, 3 tackles, won lots of ground duels, fairly tidy in his passing. But again, Chelsea were a bit all over the shop last season, so I don't think it's fair. Although I haven't brought up his... I'm not sure how we're spelling that. Like that. There we go.
That's a slightly better photo of him as well, to be fair.
Yeah. Oh, he's got a cap for Spain as well. That must have been a while ago. So contracted until 2028. Market value dropped to 35, considering they bought him for over 60. That's funny. EMG Mundial, who are they? Do we know anybody at this agency?
I'm sure I've seen them mentioned before in here.
So Klosterman,
yeah,
Demirbay, who we were linked with like 2 years ago. I don't really know too many of these players on here, so I'm not sure if we're familiar with this agency as much. I'd take him. I just think it might be a bit expensive. That's the only problem. Depends what Chelsea decide to do. You know, you never know. They might because of the financial situation and their bloated squad. If we can get lucky, let's say Poch comes in, doesn't think he's good enough to be part of his plans, we might get really lucky and get him on loan with an option that's a reasonable fee. In that case, I would say yes, absolutely snap him up if we can. Depends on the circumstances.
Simon says Poch doesn't fancy Cucurella. Talks of selling for 30 mil. Ash says can't really blame him for being poor this season. I agree, Alex. I think he's really good, just lacking direction. And what better man to get him that direction back than Eddie Howe?
Can I just say it would be great to have another defender in that back line with the Colaccini haircut again. I think that'd be funny.
Oh, Cucurella, the love of my life.
Even fits, doesn't it?
Yeah. What do you reckon, Billy? Someone that you'd like to see come in?
100%. I think he's a fantastic player. I noticed on his kind of green line bar there that progressive carries as well down. When he was at Brighton, he was up and down that wing with the ball, progressive carrying all day long. And we saw it against us St James's that year, didn't we? We beat them 2-1, but they kind of dominated possession for 89 minutes of the game, to be honest. And it was all down to him.
Yeah.
Up and down that left flank all day long. Yeah, I'll take him all day long. Absolutely.
By the way, Brazil have scored in their game. Lucas Paqueta has got that goal.
Is Paqueta part of the midfield? Are they playing the magical trio? Are they?
Indeed. Ooh. That trio that we could have seen at Newcastle. Wow. I mean, Spoons, good evening. Hope you're well, matey. Tangy says 175k a week wages. That may be a sticking point without a doubt, but it just goes to show. I mean, Chelsea, ridiculous amount of money they spend on wages, and I think that's going to come back and bite them in the arse at some stage. I really do. But we just have to...
It's not always an issue, though, is it? These things can go one of many ways. If Poch and Chelsea say, look, you're not in our plans, we're going to accept this bid and you're going to piss off, you're going to have to take a wage cut or agree to their demands, or you're just going to rot on our bench or in our reserves and you're not going to play. It depends how harsh Chelsea are with players that they're going to move on. Are they just going to phase them out? Who knows? He might have to just accept it. But then there are players who are happy to do that and just go, yeah, okay, I'm just going to see my contract out and take you for all your money and never play football. So
Poch has got a hell of a job on, hasn't he? Trying to sort that lot out. I mean, talk about walking into a firestorm. I mean,
he did obviously have some experience at PSG, so that might help him in this scenario, possibly. I think he's a good coach and he's managed big personalities at PSG. So
I think I read one of the players at the end of the season said it got a bit mad because they were coming in for training and they were having to use 3 different dressing rooms because they had that many players. I mean, mental, absolutely crazy.
But I wonder if Loftus-Cheek's gone back yet. Not Loftus-Cheek, sorry. Callum Hudson-Odoi. I wonder if he's gone back from his loan from Bayern, Bayer Leverkusen. I bet he's gone back and he's like,
don't know him.
Who are all of you people?
You weren't you when I left.
Staff, the manager, the squad, probably the tea lady. They've all changed.
I have a feeling
we spoke about this earlier in the show about these Saudi links with Chelsea, and maybe this will help us get someone like Mark Cucurella through the door. Who knows?
Possibly, yeah. But I think Poch is the type of manager that would probably want Hudson-Odoi to stay. I think he would probably work wonders for him. But again, we'll have to see. But unfortunately, guys, we have no confirmations of any transfers yet. It is still up in the air. We still don't know. It may well pick up now the internationals are finishing off, and maybe we'll see some action before the players go away. I certainly don't expect us to be waiting too long because I'm convinced that Eddie will want his squad in and ready for pre-season. Maybe he's not the start of pre-season, but certainly by the time we go to the States and things like that, I think he'll want pretty much his squad in place. But sometimes it doesn't work out like that, and the way that negotiations dictate the pace of a transfer and things like that, we'll just have to see what the summer brings.
Before we disappear as well, it is worth saying that in the last, since we've been live, Sky Germany have confirmed that we've entered the race for Nemecha, however we're supposed to say his name. Felix Nemecha from Wolfsburg that we reviewed maybe a week ago.
We did review him, yeah.
And he has since come out and addressed all of those allegations about different bits and bobs, and he's come out and said, he's a changed. I don't know if he said he's a changed person. Whatever he said, he released a statement.
People do things when they're young, but people mature and things like that. So, let's just wait and see. But your mum has said, Alex, wash your mouth out.
What did I say?
I don't know, but she said that.
I haven't said Manchester United this show.
I don't think you did either. We have now, yeah. But I mean, I don't know why she's asking you to wash your mouth out. Interesting. I don't know. Carlos says, I only believe transfers when the clubs announce it. So do we, Carlos. And just before we go, I'd like to address that because, people are making comments, etc., saying, I don't listen to any of the channels because, all the in the knows and stuff like that and blah, blah, bloody blah. Right. We are not in the know. We have always said we're not in the know, right? There is nothing wrong, right, with discussing players that we're linked with. Whether they come off or not, the transfers, it doesn't matter. It's just nice to talk about players that we're linked with or have been spoken about as possible targets for Newcastle United. Quite frankly, if you want to go and watch in the nose, that's fine. That's up to you. But we will never be that. We will never, ever claim that we're in the know because we're not. All we're doing is talking about it. Once the club confirm either a medical's taking place or a signing's taking place, then yes, we will talk more in detail about that particular player. What we have done in the last couple of transfer shows is when we've signed a player, we've then gone on to say and talk about that single player on a whole show. Because Alex breaks that player down and looks at the different options that we'll have with that particular player, what that particular player will bring to the squad. That's what we will always do. So
we have reviewed players who have signed as well.
Absolutely.
We reviewed Botman a number of times before he signed. We reviewed Isak, I think maybe twice before he signed because he was in a cluster of links with like Jonathan David and Alexander Isak and a few others. I don't think we'd reviewed Bruno at that point. That kind of came out of nowhere.
There's always transfers that come out of nowhere. You know what I mean?
Minte was linked for quite a long time as well, to be fair.
Absolutely. But listen,
I think we reviewed Anthony Gordon twice before he ended up signing as well. So it's worth us doing this because it means we at least kind of know what we're going to get if one of these do sign.
Ian makes a good point, Mr. Spoons. Given the stats on players is for information and enjoyment, just to think about what we could. These absolute knobheads on social media that seem to link every single channel with being in the know. There's loads of channels like us out there who are not in the know, who will never claim to be in the know. There is some out there that are trying to get likes and follows and subscriptions and things like that, claiming that they know everything. But you look back at those particular channels and they've made complete arses of themselves by claiming that somebody's coming for a medical, claiming this, claiming that, and it's never came to fruition. That's why we only
have just scored.
Oh, well, there you go. That's why we just talk about players that are linked. And then once the club confirm everything, that's when we'll discuss it more. We go off what the club says, not off what some Tom, Dick or Harry says on bloody social media thinking they know it all. It's just pathetic. And they look like idiots. We are not going to do that. And anybody that wants to link us as an In The Know channel can sod off because we're not an In The Know channel and we never will be. When I do the daily news, all I'm talking about is what I'm reading in the media. I'm not claiming that I am saying that. It's what I see in the media and we talk about it. And then you guys discuss it in the comments as well. It's all it is. But honestly, you listen, 95% of you watching now tonight will know who these In The Know people are. And you'll know.
It's a cracking goal from Senegal, by the way. They weren't going to stop that. was a half volley, left-footed half volley.
I can't believe you just interrupted my rant. I was in full flow there. Anyway, look, you know what you get with us at the end of the day. We talk about stuff with Newcastle. We will never say somebody's signing before we hear it from the club. Obviously, if somebody's coming in for a medical and things like that in the sky and everybody's behind it, then we'll talk about it. But I'm not going to sit here and Alex or Billy or Jack, we're not going to sit here and say, oh, such and such is booked in for a medical next week. There's 2 slots available. We've booked them in. It's pathetic. But you know what I mean? And to a certain person on Twitter who's been having a right go at certain members of the Toon Review, eat shit, quite honestly. We are not in the know. And we haven't even mentioned a certain Leicester City player tonight, so that you thought we were going to. So stick that up your pipe. Right, that is it for tonight, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Again, I do apologise for the lateness, but we did have some serious problems with technical stuff and all sorts. But we are going to start bringing you the live shows again. There's a lot to talk about on shows. Billy has a very good show planned as well, with a fantasy Newcastle United, which I think is going to be a really good show as well. So we'll bring that to you as well. Obviously, the transfer shows, all sorts. Daily news will continue. And you know what? If you love it, you love it. If you don't, go and watch somebody else. It's as simple as that. But please,
Tom Lynch's idea, by the way. Tom Lynch. I'm
Yeah.
not making no idea, Tom.
Tom, you demand. Right. Thank you very much, guys. If you have enjoyed tonight, don't forget to hit that like button. It is really important. I keep stressing that on every single show. But hitting that thumbs up button means that we are in the search results and fans like yourself can then find the channel. YouTube thinks, ooh, something spectaculosis is happening on that channel. Let's promote it. And more fans like yourselves can subscribe. If you are new and like what you're seeing, please do hit that subscribe button. Free to do so. And obviously the notification bell, which will let you know when we go live or we book any, we upload any recording videos. But that's it. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your night, guys. The sun should be back tomorrow, and we'll see you very soon. But from me, Billy and Alex, and the fabulous Mod Squad, good night.
Oh, we're the lads and lasses.
Oh, just say that again, Billy.
Oh, we're the lads and lasses.
Thank you. Good night, guys.
Come back and check out some green.